Welcome back to Green is Good, and we're so honored to have with us today Ken Fonville. He's the owner of EcoSelect Furniture. Welcome to Green is Good, Ken.
Hey, thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's great to have you on today. And before we get talking about your great company, EcoSelect Furniture, and your website, EcoSelectFurniture.com, please share the Ken Fonville story. I mean, you have a fascinating background in the furniture industry, Ken. And before you went into making eco-friendly furniture, you did a lot before. And share with our listeners what you're up to and what led up to you founding EcoSelect Furniture.
Okay. I spent almost 40 years in the furniture industry, most of it with high-end, high-quality companies, some of which were family-owned and some of which were corporate. As I approached my retirement years, I came to the belief that there was a real opportunity for a greener product if you only started with that as a basic premise as you develop your processes and products for the consumer. It came from a fundamental belief that having a good life and living a good life were not mutually exclusive goals. So the decision to get involved in green furniture or eco-friendly upholstery primarily was also a function of that belief, as well as the feeling that there was an opportunity to bring the manufacturing of upholstery especially back to the U.S. after most of the furniture industry has migrated to Asia. So that those two things were the primary drivers behind the decision to start EcoSelect Furniture.
Gotcha. And for our listeners out there that want to follow along, I'm on your great website right now. Your website is www.ecoselectfurniture.com. It's a beautiful website, has a lot of green on it and a lot of beautiful pieces of your eco furniture and your beautiful upholstery. So I suggest our listeners go to ecoselectfurniture.com. Ken, what are the benefits of custom upholstery manufacturing and what you're doing? Can you explain to you have such a great background in this stuff. Share a little bit about what are the benefits that first come with that kind of custom upholstery manufacturing?
Well, the real benefit to custom upholstery manufacturing or custom upholstery for the consumer is that you can really tailor it to your own lifestyle and your own desires, so that we can address those unique requests. Things like someone who wants an especially firm seating, or someone who wants a very soft seat, someone who needs a little higher seating level if they're especially tall or especially short. We can accommodate that. We can also make most all of our chairs into reclining chairs. We can make virtually all of our sofas into sleep sofas if someone needs the extra bedroom, as it were. So that we're able to take the basic styles that are traditional and classic and then customize them to the particular wants and needs of our customers and to their personal style.
What are the costs involved of custom upholstery manufacturing versus buying something off the rack? Is it much more expensive than just going into a store and buying something off the rack? Or
there's some trade-offs. Obviously, we have to hire and use higher skilled manufacturing employees and the workers. Our upholsterers in many cases are second and third generation craftsmen, and they are very much steeped in a quality culture. Each piece is custom made to order, so that it does take a little longer time, and it's probably not as efficient from a cost standpoint as making 10 of the same kind or 500 of the same kind, like some of the big manufacturers. It's a little slower, so that we ask our customers to wait a few weeks to get their upholstery rather than having it tomorrow. But we think those trade-offs are more than offset by both the quality that we can provide as well as the ability to personalize it.
Ken, since the name of your company is EcoSelect Furniture, and you make eco-friendly furniture and especially upholstery, can you share with our listeners why are your furniture products and upholstery considered greener than just stuff that you could just go in and buy at a regular furniture store? Explain the differential greener elements.
As I mentioned earlier, it was really starting with the premise that if you plan for green manufacturing from the beginning, there's not a lot of additional cost to do it. For example, all of our frames are made from solid lumber. In fact, it's hardwood lumber from locally sourced in the mountains of North Carolina near our factory, so that we don't put any plywood in it, which has all of the chemicals associated with plywood manufacturing. The springs we use are made from recycled steel. It's just a matter of finding the right source for it. The foam that's used in our cushions is a soy blend foam. While it's not a perfectly sustainable product, the fact that it has a soy oil component in addition to the petroleum-based feedstock means that it is a better product. So, but it still has the performance and the durability and the resilience that we think our customers need. And then there's something that you don't typically think about making a product green, but the fact that our frames and cushions are so high quality that they can be recovered. So instead of sending your sofa to the landfill, you can put a new fabric on it or even new leather, though leather in itself is a green product in the sense that it lasts for many, many years. In fact, it can last a lifetime if it's well cared for. So those are the primary things. The other thing, obviously, is that because of the California flame requirement in the foam, we elected to find a foam supplier that does not put those toxic chemicals in their foam, so that that complete issue is not a function of our upholstery at all, so that you get none of that toxic flame retardant chemicals in our upholstery. Plus, even our fabrics do not have any treatments to them like the soil repellent chemicals and that sort of thing.
Gotcha. And you sell, I mentioned your website, EcoSelectFurniture.com. You sell your products strictly online and you don't have any retail stores. What was your business vision behind that decision making?
A couple of things. The primary one being that we thought we believed, and still do, believe that we could provide a higher quality product to the consumer for the same price as they would have buying a lower quality product at a retail store. We've tried to remove those distribution channel costs out of our selling equation, out of our business model, so that we don't have any rent, we don't have any inventory, we don't have a lot of personnel costs. We do minimal advertising, so that we've taken the costs that we believe don't add to the product value to the consumer, to our customer, and tried to remove them from the equation so that we can provide a higher quality product for a regular price. We like to say we give you a designer quality or a designer product for a regular price.
Gotcha. I mean, and also you have a lower carbon footprint by just selling online with no retail stores. You are greener just on that, with regards to that, because you don't have any retail stores and have a bigger carbon footprint because of that.
Absolutely. And in fact, we try to reduce our carbon footprint across the board. Virtually all of our materials and components are sourced locally near the factory, and our product and our upholstery is delivered directly to the consumer by a home delivery shipping company, so that it doesn't go to a retail store and then is reshipped, so that all of those things help reduce the carbon footprint of the complete business.
Ken, can you share with our listeners a little bit about the new California upholstery flammability regulations?
Sure. Ever since the mid-1970s, California has required that all upholstery sold through retailers in the state of California meet some very strict flammability requirements or fire resistance requirement. For all that time, there was an open flame test where actually a fire was applied to the upholstery and it had to resist flaming up or burning for 10 minutes or so. I forgot the exact time frame, but for a rather significant time.
Right.
What wasn't realized at that time was the toxicity of the chemicals that were required to meet that requirement, to make the foam and the upholstery flame resistant or fire resistant. So that as it was learned that the chemicals that were being added to the upholstery were actually worse for the environment, worse for the consumer because they off-gas in the home, and even worse for the firemen who are called to put out a home fire if the upholstery is burning. It's giving off all these toxic chemicals. So they recently changed the regulation to go to a smolder test, where a lighted cigarette is applied to the upholstery, and the piece has to resist the catching fire for some period of time. But that has meant that all of the manufacturers have to retest all of their products to make sure they meet the new requirements. Plus, in many cases, they're not quite sure how to meet the new requirements. Whether a barrier coat is needed, or whether some chemicals could be added to the foam, or whether the fabrics can be treated. Plus the fact that the state has been sued by the chemical manufacturers, so whether they can actually put the new regulation in place is up for debate, and will probably take some time to get resolved and worked out.
I see.
By the manufacturers in the state.
For our listeners who just joined us, we've got Ken Fonville with us today. He's the owner and founder of EcoSelect Furniture. It's www.ecoselechtfurniture.com. We talked about the fact that you're only online. So talk a little bit about how people, I'm on your beautiful website now, Ken. How do people interrelate? They could call or email you and make orders. And then how does delivery happen? And how long does delivery take? Is it longer than typical furniture going into a store? And is it coast to coast in every zip code across the United States? How does your website interact with the consumer? And how easy is it to order furniture and upholstery off of your website?
Okay, well, that's a lot of questions at one time.
I know, sorry.
The consumer can browse through the website. We try to answer as many questions as we can. The customer can certainly call me. I spend a lot of time talking to consumers on the phone, answering questions, explaining what we do, trying to help them make the right decision. They can, once a decision is made about which style they want and which pieces, they can either order online. There's a order form on the website, and their credit card payment would go through the secure server, so we don't ever see it. And then the order's placed, and what I do is send them an order acknowledgement that I ask them to confirm that we got everything exactly right, since there are so many custom options to the pieces that we sell. And then the order is put into the production cycle at the factory, and it takes about 8 weeks for us to produce a piece from the order entry date, and then another couple of weeks or so to get it shipped to the consumer. Our shipping process is nationwide. We ship everywhere, in fact, even to Canada, and a couple of pieces to Hawaii, and once we ship to Alaska, though those are more difficult because of the packing requirements.
Right, of course.
But for the typical customer in the U.S., we use a specialized white glove home delivery furniture carrier. They pick up pieces from our factory and other factories that are delivering them to consumers, take it to their warehouse, which is about 75 miles away from us, and there they bundle all of the products and assemble a truckload going to a general geographic area. The customer can track that process online through the shipping company, and then when they have a truckload ready to go, they will call the customer to make a delivery appointment, and then bring the pieces to the customer's home, unwrap them, put them in place in the customer's house where she wants them, and then remove all the packing materials for recycling.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Ken, you've had a storied career in the furniture industry, and now you are making eco-friendly furniture with your great company, and it's really. Is this a trend that you see other people like you, other veterans getting involved with making eco-friendly furniture? And is there a furniture industry organization for green furniture?
Well, there is. Number one, I do see some other companies embracing green trends. In some ways, I'm sorry to see it because it's more competition for me. But on the other hand, I'm pleased that the customers is offered more and more green alternatives or green furniture for their homes.
Right.
There is a organization called the Sustainable Furniture Council. I'm not only a member, I've been through their Green Leader training, and I keep that certification up to date. They are very, very effective, and they have a website as well that where the consumers can learn more about sustainability in furniture and even get the names of the manufacturers and the retailers who support the Sustainable Furniture Council and their practices.
Gotcha. And with regards to trends, I mean, you've dealt with families now for decades, buying furniture and seeing what they want, what they really are excited about, and what they're not that excited about. Is this a trend that you see is here to stay with regards to people coming to you and really being interested in having toxic-free furniture, chemical-free furniture, in other words, eco and green-friendly furniture?
I think it's a rapidly growing phenomenon. In fact, most of my customer contact on the telephone is explaining what we do and why we do it, and because of their interest in finding someone who can give them toxin-free furniture. People are very concerned about what they're bringing into their home, what they're exposing their children to. Some of the studies are a little bit scary about the chemicals that wind up in children's bodies as a result of the chemicals that are around us all the time. So having the upholstery, which number one is going to stay in their home for many years, having that toxin-free becomes very important to people, and I think it's growing in importance as people become more aware of it.
Gotcha. You recently participated in the Green Festival. Can you share some of your thoughts about your participation with the Green Festival, Ken?
Sure. That was a sort of a test for us. We had not done anything like this before in our advertising. We've tried to stay in many of the green advertising vehicles. The Green Festival is a show that goes around the country. There's 5 locations, I think, New York, Washington, Chicago, LA, and San Francisco. 2 or 3 day event where there are hundreds of vendors selling green products, mostly for the home, but not totally, and all kind of educational lectures and things about sustainability and how you can live a better life, and how you can what kind of products are green, and some of the things that will enable people or help them live a greener life.
Got it.
But we had a little booth and talked to many customers. Obviously, people didn't come to the Green Festival expecting to buy a sofa, but it was rewarding to be able to see people and talk with them and have them sit on our upholstery, which is one of the real drawbacks to selling online. We recognize it's a real act of faith to make a $2,000 or $3,000 purchase of a product that you've never seen, and certainly in the case of upholstery you've never sat in, to make sure that it's comfortable.
Got it. Ken, we're down to the last minute. Any final thoughts or shameless plugs before we have to say goodbye today?
Well, I encourage everyone to take a look at the website. I'm available most of the time on the phone, and certainly I'm available by email, and all of that contact information is on the website. I encourage people, if they're interested, to request some swatches. We'll send them small pieces of the fabrics, colors, or the leather, and on the swatch request forum, there's a place for questions. So if you have something specific that you want to know about more, absolutely give me a call or drop me a note. I would be delighted to share my knowledge with you.
Thank you, Ken, so much. Your website is, for our listeners out there, EcoSelectFurniture.com. Thank you, Ken, for making toxic and chemical-free upholstery and for creating eco-friendly furniture. You are truly living proof that green is good.